Hello and welcome to the News Minute. There is a big announcement from the Karnataka government. The cabinet has decided to repeal the anti-conversion law that they had enacted in 2021. To talk about this, I have with me the News Minute's editorial head, Pooja Prasanna. Pooja, thanks for joining us. Pooja, what exactly has the cabinet decided? What was discussed in the cabinet meeting, and what is this announcement?
Well, in a press briefing that was held right after the cabinet meeting, the Law and Parliamentary Affairs Minister H.K. Patil came out and announced that the government has decided to repeal the anti-conversion law. Now, this was one of the promises that the Congress had made ahead of the elections, that if they do come to power, then they will repeal a series of contentious laws that were brought in by BJP. Amongst them, this anti-conversion law was also one of them. Just to give clarity to our viewers, when a government says that they will repeal the bill, repeal the law, I beg your pardon, essentially they will have to now ensure that they bring in an amendment, table it in the assembly, and get it passed in the assembly, and then bring it in the legislative council as well. Because let's remember, Karnataka is bicameral in nature, so they will have to bring it in the council, get it passed in the council as well, and then it becomes the law. What they have essentially said is they will repeal all the stringent measures to conversion that was brought in by BJP in 2022 and revert it to what it was before that. Shabbir.
Okay, so what exactly is this anti-conversion law about, and why are we saying that it's more stringent than Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and the law that has been enacted in Gujarat, in all these states?
Well, what was brought in Karnataka was perhaps the most stringent anti-conversion bill in the country, and like you rightly said, it was more stringent than in other states which have had the law for several decades now. Now, the bill was called the Karnataka Protection of Right to Freedom of Religion Bill 2021. And if you look at some of the measures, some of the sections and provisions of the bill, you'll understand how difficult it becomes for anybody who's even willingly converting from one religion to another. For example, there is one provision under which anybody who intends to convert has to give a notice to the district magistrate 30 days in advance. After that notice is given, that is put up in public domain by the district magistrate for a period of 30 days, during which somebody who's related to the person, not related to the person, literally anybody can come and object to that. And that objection will then be verified by the tehsildar or somebody in the taluk office. And then the decision to whether or not the person can be permitted to convert will be taken after that. In that 30-day period, there can be any kind of threat, any kind of threat to the safety of the person who intends to convert could also take place. Apart from this, it also says that not just conversion by marriage, even with the intention of marriage, if somebody converts, then the person, it will be seen as illegal under this particular law. Several other sections that were brought in by this particular law made it very, very difficult for anybody who wants to convert. And also, just the mere allegation is enough for action. And the burden of proving that there was no coercion, there was no threat, there was no influence under which a certain person wanted to convert is on that person. It is not on those who are making that allegation or the state to prove that there was any kind of coercion. But in fact, the person has to then prove that they were not under any kind of influence when they made the decision to convert. Even if you look at the penalty in other states, it is about 1 year and 15,000 rupees.
15,000 rupees.
Yeah. In Karnataka, in fact, it is 3 to 5 years and 25,000 rupees. And for mass conversions, and they've defined mass conversions of if 2 to 3 people or more than 2 to 3 people convert in one location simultaneously, that is seen as mass conversion. Then the penalty goes up. The imprisonment is between 3 to 10 years.
So 3 to 10 years, and the fine amount is 50,000.
Yes.
Or it's more. Okay. Oh, we know that there was a lot of it was a political move by the BJP. There was a lot of lot of things have happened. You have covered this extensively. The circumstances in which this ordinance was brought in. Then later, the bill was tabled in the assembly. We saw a lot of attacks on churches. Was this all something that was orchestrated to justify bringing this law?
Well, it would seem like that because in December, around September 2021, first when this issue came up, it was a BJP legislator who incidentally is not with BJP right now. He spoke in the assembly and claimed that in his constituency in central part of Karnataka, Hosadurga mass conversions were taking place. And he gave the example of his mother. And he said that his mother was also converted from Hinduism to Christianity and appeal to the speaker and the government or in the assembly to bring in a law to prevent conversions. He said it's rampant across the state, particularly in my own constituency. Incidentally, I did visit that constituency and we did speak to several people who had converted. We spoke to government officials also. All of them said that not a single case of forced conversion was filed from Hosadurga or even that district of Chitradurga. Now, based on this appeal that Gulihatti Shekhar, the BJP MLA, made, the Chief Minister then, Basavaraj Bommai, said that we will look at bringing in a law to curb conversion. After that, we saw how, throughout the state, there were these attacks on churches, prayer houses, even if in a residence, there were a group of people who had gathered and were conducting their prayers or Sunday mass, that was being attacked by right-wing groups like Bajrang Dal, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Hindu Janajagra Samiti, several of them. There were protests also across the state, some of them, in fact, by BJP MLAs themselves. All of this culminated in the cabinet deciding in December 2020 that they will bring in an anti-conversion law. Now, in the same month, in the winter session of Karnataka Assembly, in Belagavi particularly, a bill was brought in the assembly. It was passed because the BJP did have the majority at that point of time, but they did not have the numbers required to pass it in the Legislative Council, because of which in May of 2022, an ordinance was brought in. And Shabbir, as you know, an ordinance has a validity of just 6 months. It has to be, in fact, passed in both houses, Assembly and Legislative Council. Only then it becomes a law. So an ordinance was passed in May 2021. And after that, in September, when BJP did have the required numbers in the Legislative Council, they introduced it once again in the Assembly, then in the Council, and finally it was passed. So in September 2022, it became a law. Now the Congress, Shabbir, will have to do something similar. If they need to, scrap some of these amendments made, they will have to bring in a fresh bill, table it in the Assembly, pass it in the Assembly, which shouldn't be difficult given the numbers that Congress has in the Assembly. But the trick will be to get it passed in the Legislative Council. Why it will be tricky? Currently, the Congress does not have majority in the Council. But more importantly, the JDS, which at that point of time had opposed this bill, could now very well go with BJP and oppose any kind of amendment, because we have reported how there could be talks between JDS and BJP for some sort of a coalition. JDS is looking to be a part of NDA according to sources. So in order to please its ally, the JDS could very well oppose this in the council, which means that the Congress will have to once again pass it as an ordinance and then perhaps get the numbers in the council and then pass it.
Okay. Also, one more question, Pooja. When this law was brought in, what was the kind of opposition from civil rights activists, from other groups, from the civil society, and particularly the opposition party?
Well, the civil society did push back quite a bit because we did see violence also in the wake of this bill. We've reported how in one particular district in Belagavi, in northern part of Karnataka, there were attacks reported, 2, 3, 4 times a week. Incidentally, Shabbir, all this happened till the bill was tabled. So essentially, some sort of a public sentiment was being manufactured, trying to create an impression that there was rampant conversion to Christianity taking place across the state, and there is a need for a very, very stringent anti-conversion bill. And once it became the law, in fact, not more than 5 to 6 cases of forced conversion has been filed. Fewer of them have, in fact, resulted in charge sheet. So between September 2022 till when BJP was in power till last month, there have been just a handful of cases filed, which goes on to prove that this entire bogey of rampant conversion was just that. It was a bogey and it was fabricated. As far as your question of pushback from civil society is concerned, Yes, there were several protests that we saw across the state, particularly in Bengaluru, in Mangalore, which has a significant Christian population, in Belagavi as well. The Archbishop also led a delegation of several seniors, and we saw people lead delegations, and they appealed to the government of the day then to repeal the law, to ensure that people are allowed to practice their religion in peace. We saw statements coming in from several other countries as well. This did create international furor as well. The Vatican had also taken note of this. There was a statement that was issued as well, but of course, there was no response by the government. They just said that this is a law and we will ensure that peace is maintained, but clearly there was no backtracking by the then BJP government.
Okay, for people who are joining in, this is a big announcement that has come in from the Karnataka government, that the state cabinet has decided that they will repeal the anti-conversion law that was passed by the previous BJP government. Pooja, just one last question to you. What will be the BJP's reaction to this? Because already I see a couple of reactions pouring in, and plus the right-wing groups that are very powerful in certain parts of Karnataka. So, what kind of impact this announcement is going to have on Karnataka's political landscape just ahead of 2024 elections? Is this going to be a campaign now for the BJP?
It could very well become, because the BJP had very clearly made their stand here that we will in fact push back and protest if any changes are made, not just to this, but also the anti-cow slaughter law that was brought in by the BJP. The Congress had made it very, very clear that if they come to power, all of these laws will be repealed. So as per what they had promised, they have gone ahead with this announcement. Of course, it is yet to be promulgated, as we spoke about. It will be a slightly long drawn process. But as far as BJP is concerned, they will make this a huge election issue. We can expect some sort of a backlash, not just by BJP, but also, like you rightly said, the right-wing groups in sensitive areas, communally sensitive areas, like the coastal part, in the northern part, like in Belagavi, Hubli, Dharwad. Also, they have significant presence. We can expect some sort of a pushback from them. And both parties, in fact, will look to make this an election issue. The Congress, too, will rally around the fact that, look, we did protect the rights of minorities. We did stand by what we said, and the BJP will use this opportunity to paint the Congress as anti-Hindu. That is what they've been saying. And they will kind of build up that momentum up to 2024.
Thank you, Pooja, for joining us and bringing us up to speed on this big announcement that has been made by the Karnataka government. The News Minute will continue to follow the story very closely. And if you like our work, if you want us to continue doing what we do become a member of the News Minute and support independent journalism. Thanks for watching.